I think it's time I tell you guys a story. A story about me. A story about running. A story that explains what made me the person I am today. A story that everyone seems to know me by at this point. A story that's going to continue until I'm finally done running. But for now, this is my sub 4 story. It all started in 3rd grade. Every year at my elementary school, there was an annual race called the Turkey Trot. The point of the race was to raise money for struggling families. Basically, you would run a lap around the field and then a lap around the track, and that was it. That was my first real ever race, and I ended up winning. Well, I actually tied for first place. I had to dive at the line. At the time, it seemed really intense, but looking back, I'm sure only a handful of the kids actually took it serious. I ended up winning the race all 3 years and became known as the runner kid with long hair. I joined a club called the Wilton Running Club around this time. I was always one of those smaller kids, but I loved having that long hair. I remember thinking that I looked so cool when I would put on my headband. The reason I thought it was cool to have long hair was because of my dad. I wanted to be exactly like my dad. Keith Brown, aka the old man, aka my dad, was actually a big runner back in the day. Running 4:15 in the mile and 9:13 in the 2 mile in high school, he would get recruited by the University of Michigan. At Michigan, he was part of a team that won the Big Ten championships in cross country. He was the captain of the team and would eventually place 45th at the NCAA championships in cross country. You guys are going to laugh at this next point, but my dad actually became a professional ballet dancer for the next 5 or 6 years of his life before finally returning to road running in the late 70s. His big claim to fame was when he finished 13th place at the Marathon World Cup in Montreal in 1979. He ended up taking down Bill Rogers and was the 3rd American. After that race, he felt as if he had a chance to qualify for the Olympic Games in 1980, but unfortunately the US had to boycott because of the Cold War. That's enough about my dad for now, but all you really need to know is that he was a pretty good runner back in the day and that he continues to inspire me every day. Sixth grade. At this point, I was running cross country in the fall and playing soccer and baseball in the spring. I was definitely one of the younger kids on the club cross country team, but I was still able to keep up with the older kids. My friend Clint and I thought we were so good because we would always finish first for our age group. Looking back, I highly doubt that there were any 6th graders even competing besides us. Anyway, I never actually ran a mile until my 6th grade gym class. Back in middle school, everyone went hard in gym class, so I obviously ran all out. I ended up running 5:52 and finished first for my class. That was the only time I really remember running a mile in 6th grade. A lot changed in 7th grade. At the beginning of cross-country season in 7th grade, we were told that some new kid would be joining our team. Our coaches told us that this kid was ridiculously talented, but we really didn't think much of it. Well, it turns out that kid was Alex Osberg. Alex, who eventually went to Stanford University to run, was off the rails talented. He came in and absolutely embarrassed the field in every single cross-country race. Nobody could keep up with him. I was incredibly humbled. I wasn't even the fastest person on my own local club team anymore. But Alex turned out to be one of the nicest people I've ever met to this day. He became an amazing friend and helped push me to levels I really never thought I could actually get to. So cross country went well that season, but let's flash forward to the springtime of the year. That's right, I finally decided to cut my hair. Well, I actually got braces on the same day, so I really just wanted to change up my look. I remember kids coming into my classroom freaking out over this. With my fresh new look, I was able to drop my mile time down to 5:18 that year. I improved a lot because my dad was giving me a few workouts a week. Remember, I played soccer and baseball in the spring, so I wasn't practicing with the Wilton Running Club at that time. But then came 8th grade, the year I got serious about running. Alex was still dominating all of us in cross country, but I was running well myself. I really wasn't having that much fun with soccer anymore, and I knew that running was going to be my future. One day, I skipped soccer practice to go to cross country practice instead. We ended up running by the practice field that my team was on, and literally everyone saw me. I got in trouble with the coach and never started another game again. I quit playing soccer as soon as the season ended. It was finally time to get serious about running. My dad started to get super involved with my running. He had me do a lot more intense workouts, like this one. My dad knew how to push me with training. He figured out that I loved to do interval workouts, so we started doing them all the time. He wanted me to beat all of his times that he had run back in the day. I could tell he believed in me, and it gave me confidence. His training methods were starting to pay off. In the spring of 8th grade, I finally got to compete in the Junior Olympics state track meet. I ended up winning the 1500 meter state title with a time of 4:31. According to the Mount Sac 1500 meter to mile conversion chart, the time was equal to a 4:53. So, my new mile time was 4:53. I was somehow able to come back a few hours later and win the 400 title as well in a time of 56. High school was right around the corner, and for the first time in my life, I actually thought that maybe one day I could break 4 in the mile. Freshman year of high school was an absolute blast. I trained super hard coming into cross-country season, and it really paid off. I ended up winning the first race of the year after taking a wrong turn. After that, all of the older guys started calling me freshman. I loved being on a real team. I was our #1 runner as soon as I joined the team, and everyone supported me like crazy. Alex and I were no longer teammates, but we continued to push each other to new levels every time we were in the same race. I was starting to get a lot of attention from our local paper and other media sources. I really never let any of the pressure get to me though, and I just focused more on having fun. I would highlight my cross-country season by getting 9th at our Class L state meet, qualifying for the open meet. At the open meet, I finished well over 100th place. I still wasn't quite ready for the big leagues yet. After cross-country season, my dad made me join the swim team for the winter instead of doing indoor track. He didn't want me to burn out with running, and he knew I needed the winter off. I thought that my running talent may carry over, but I was terrible at swimming. I went from being the best on the cross-country team to the worst on the swim team. For any swimmers out there, I have a ton of respect for your sport. This was an incredibly humbling experience that I would never regret. I got my braces off just in time for the spring season of track. Every race I felt like I was getting better. I first ran 4:45, then 4:37, then 4:32, and finally, at the FCAC Championships, I ran my fastest mile of the year. Henry Wynn, who now runs for the Brooks Beast, won the race easily, but I was able to use my strong finishing kick to get 6th place with a time of 4:26. I was no longer just the freshman.